The council chamber floated in the void of space, a massive structure of crystal and metal that orbited a dying star. Inside, representatives from 300 alien species filled the grand hall. Their voices echoed off the high ceiling as they argued about trade routes and territorial disputes. Among them sat the human delegation, silent and still. Ambassador Narration watched the chaos with tired eyes. She had spent 15 years in this place, fighting for Earth's voice to be heard, 15 years of being ignored, dismissed, and treated like a child among adults. Her hair had gone gray in that time. Her hope had faded even faster. Beside her sat Admiral Jiho Kang in his military uniform. His face showed no emotion, but his hands were clenched into fists under the table. He had commanded Earth's peacekeeping forces across the galaxy, losing good people in battles that meant nothing to the Council. Battles the Council started, and humans died to end. At the center of the chamber, Council Prime Velkaroth rose from his throne. He was ancient, his scaled skin covered in ceremonial markings that spoke of power accumulated over centuries. When he spoke, his voice boomed through translation devices in every language. "We now address the petition from Earth," he said, and several species in the audience made sounds that the translator interpreted as laughter. Nari stood up. Her legs felt weak, but she forced strength into them. "Honored Council, Earth has served faithfully for 50 years. We have patrolled dangerous sectors. We have protected colonies. We have asked for nothing but fair treatment in return." "You ask for quantum shield technology," Velkaroth interrupted. "Technology your species has not earned." "We ask for the same technology you give to others," Nari replied. "We ask for equal representation in council votes. We ask to be treated as partners, not servants." A creature that looked like flowing water in a containment suit spoke up. "Humans have existed for such a brief time. You cannot expect the privileges that come with age and wisdom." "Age does not equal wisdom," Admiral Jiho said, standing beside Nari. "And servitude is not partnership." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some species seemed uncomfortable. Most seemed amused. Velkaroth raised one clawed hand for silence. "The Council has reviewed your petition. The answer is no. Earth will continue its current assignments. You will patrol the outer sectors. You will maintain the peace in regions too dangerous or too unimportant for elder species. You will be grateful for the protection and knowledge we have already granted you." Nari felt something break inside her chest, not her heart. That had broken years ago. This was something else. This was the last thread of belief that the system could change. "I see," she said quietly. Then, louder, "I understand completely." She reached into her jacket and pulled out a small data chip. She placed it on the table in front of her and pressed a button. A hologram appeared above it, showing the seal of Earth's united government. A recorded message began to play. The voice belonged to Earth's president, a woman named Director Soha Choi. Her words were simple and clear. "To the Galactic Council, Earth hereby formally withdraws its membership effective immediately. We came to you in hope of friendship and cooperation. We found only hierarchy and exploitation. We will no longer participate in a system designed to keep us beneath you. We will no longer send our people to die in your wars while you deny us basic respect. Goodbye." The chamber fell silent. Then the laughter began again, louder this time. "You cannot survive without us," Velkaroth said. "Your technology depends on our trade. Your colonies need our protection. You will come crawling back within a year, begging to rejoin." Admiral Jiho smiled for the first time in 15 years. It was not a kind smile. "You misunderstand," he said. "We are not asking for permission. We are informing you of our decision. It is already done." Nari and Jiho walked toward the exit. Their small delegation followed behind them. As they passed through rows of alien representatives, some looked curious. Others looked angry. Most looked amused. as if watching children throw a tantrum. At the door, Nari turned back one last time. She looked at Velkaroth, sitting on his throne of ancient authority. "You could have had humanity as true allies," she said. "You chose to have us as servants instead. Now you will have us as neither. I hope that choice brings you peace. Thank you for watching." Also, they left the chamber and walked through the station's corridors to their ship. Earth's embassy was already empty. They had sent everything important home days ago. All that remained was the building itself and the memorial wall, where names of humans killed in council service were carved into stone. Jiho stopped at the wall. He placed his hand on it, feeling the carved letters of people he had commanded. People who had died believing they were building something better. "They deserved more than this," he said. "Yes," Nari agreed. "That is why we are leaving. So the next generation gets what they deserve." Their ship detached from the station and moved toward the warp gate. Behind them, through the viewport, they could see the council chamber. Inside, the meeting had already resumed. Earth was already forgotten. The ship jumped to faster than light speed and began the journey home. Neither Nari nor Jiho looked back. They had spent enough time looking at the council. Now, they would look forward. In the council chamber, Velkaroth dismissed the human departure with a wave of his hand. They will return. They always do. But in the back of his mind, something felt different about the humans. Something in the way the admiral had smiled. Something in the way the ambassador had not begged or pleaded. They had simply left, as if they had already planned what came next. Velkaroth pushed the thought away. Humans were young, impulsive, and weak. Without the council, they would collapse. It was inevitable. He was wrong, but he would not learn that truth for 25 years. 25 years had passed since Earth went silent. In that time, the galaxy had learned to forget about humanity. It was easier that way. Captain Hana Lee sat in a corner of the Red Nebula, a trading station that floated on the edge of what used to be human patrol space. She nursed a drink that tasted like burning metal and watched the crowd. Most of them were traders and smugglers like her. She had been born on Earth but raised on colony ships. When Earth withdrew from the Council, she had been working as a merchant pilot. Her ship had been too far from home to return before the borders closed, so she adapted. She became a smuggler, running goods through dangerous space where Council law meant nothing. "Tell us another story about Earth," said a young Velian across the table. His scales were bright blue, marking him as barely an adult. Hana sighed. "I have told you all my stories twice already." "Then tell them again," said another voice. A Thalarian trader, her 3 eyes blinking in sequence. "We want to know. What happened to the humans?" "Nobody knows what happened," Hana said. "But you tried to go back, yes?" the Velian asked. Hana nodded slowly. 5 years after the withdrawal, I tried to reach Earth. I got as far as the edge of the Sol system. Then my ship just stopped. Engines died. Life support stayed on, but I could not move forward. After an hour, systems came back online, and I was pushed away. Gently, but firmly. I tried 3 more times. Same result. "What do you think they are doing in there?" the Thalarian asked. Hana thought about the question. She had spent years thinking about it. "Something big," she finally said. "Something they did not want the Council to see." Far from the Red Nebula, in the clean halls of the Council's Economic Division, Trade Minister Kolrax stared at numbers that refused to make sense. He was a bureaucrat, not a warrior or explorer. He dealt in cargo manifests and trade agreements. Boring work that kept the galaxy running. But these numbers were not boring. They were terrifying. "Show me the comparison again," he told his assistant. The hologram displayed 2 sets of data. The first showed galactic trade volume from 50 years ago, before humanity joined the Council. The second showed current trade volume. The difference was enormous. How is this possible? Kolrax muttered. Humans were only 3% of council membership. Yes, Minister, his assistant said. But they served as intermediaries for 40% of trade routes through their sectors. When they closed their borders, those routes had to be redirected. The new routes are longer, more dangerous, and more expensive. Kolrax scrolled through more data. Manufacturing reports, resource extraction, technology development. In every category, there was a decline that started exactly 25 years ago. The humans were more integrated into our economy than we realized, he said. There is more, Minister, the assistant said nervously. The sectors they used to patrol have become unstable. Piracy is up by 300%. Border conflicts have increased. Species that relied on human peacekeeping are now fighting each other. Kolrax felt a headache building behind his eyes. Have you reported this to the council? Yes, Minister. 3 times. They dismissed it as temporary adjustment. Adjustment, Kolrax repeated. It has been 25 years. He pulled up another file. This one marked with high security clearance. It contained reports from council ships that had attempted to enter human space. There were 17 reports in total. All of them ended the same way. Ship approaches Sol system. Ship loses all contact. Ship never returns. No debris found. No distress signals. Just silence. What are they doing in there? Kolrax whispered. On the border between Vox and Thalarian space, a war was beginning. It had started small, with disputes over mining rights to an asteroid belt rich in rare metals. But small disputes became skirmishes. Skirmishes became battles. Battles became war. The council debated what to do. Some species wanted intervention. Others wanted to let the two sides fight it out. Everyone had opinions. Nobody had solutions. If the humans were still here, they would have stopped this, one representative said during a council session. Velkaroth, still Council Prime after all these years, responded with anger. We do not need humans. We managed the galaxy for thousands of years before they arrived. We will manage it now. Ender sent. But privately, in his chambers, Velkaroth looked at reports that troubled him. Strange energy readings detected near the edges of human space. Signatures that did not match any known technology. And always, the silence from Earth itself. He had sent 3 more probes towards Sol in the past year. All 3 had vanished. Back at the Red Nebula station, Hana finished her drink and prepared to leave. She had a cargo run to make, illegal but profitable. As she walked to her ship, she noticed something odd. The station's sensors were showing an anomaly. A brief spike in energy, far out in deep space. The direction of the spike pointed toward where Sol system should be. Hana pulled up her personal scanner and checked the readings. The energy signature was massive, like a sun being born. But it only lasted for 3 seconds, then disappeared. She thought about reporting it to station authorities. But what would she say? She saw something strange from the direction of Earth? Everyone would laugh at her. Everyone already thought humans were gone forever, so she kept quiet and boarded her ship. But as she left the station, she set her ship's computer to monitor that section of space. If there was another energy spike, she wanted to know. 3 weeks later, there was another spike. Then another. They came irregularly, separated by days or sometimes weeks. Each one lasted only seconds. Each one came from the direction of human space. Hana was not the only one who noticed. Across the galaxy, sensors picked up the anomalies. Scientists studied them. Military analysts tried to explain them, but without being able to enter human space, they could only guess. Some said it was weapons testing. Others said it was new engine technology. A few thought it might be something else entirely, something the galaxy had never seen before. In the council chamber, Velkaroth received a report from his intelligence division. It contained sensor data, analysis, and one conclusion that made his blood run cold. The energy signatures were consistent with massive construction, Not one ship or one station, but hundreds of structures being built simultaneously. The scale was enormous, larger than anything attempted in recorded history. "What are they building?" Velkaroth asked. The intelligence officer had no answer. Year 25 came and went. Earth remained silent. The border remained closed. And the energy signatures kept appearing, brief glimpses of something vast taking shape in the darkness. Hannah sat in her ship, watching her scanner as another spike appeared and faded. She thought about home, about Earth, about the people she had left behind. "What did you do?" she whispered to the empty space. "What did you become?" She would get her answer soon. They all would. The Calthon system was burning. For 6 months, the Vox and Thalarian fleets had fought over its 3 inhabited planets. What started as a border dispute had become total war. Cities were destroyed. Millions died. Neither side would back down. On the surface of Calthon 3, refugees huddled in underground shelters as orbital bombardments shook the ground above them. Children cried. Parents tried to comfort them with lies about safety and rescue. Everyone knew the truth. The Council was not coming. Nobody was coming. In orbit, Warlord Kreth commanded the Vox battle fleet from his flagship. He was a warrior from a warrior species, bred for combat and glory. The Thalarians had insulted his people by claiming the Calthon system. He would make them pay in blood. "Status of the enemy fleet?" he demanded. "Holding position above Calthon 2. His tactical officer reported. "They have 40 ships. We have 35. "Then we attack with fury," Kreth said. "Prepare all weapons. Today, we end this." The Thalarian commander thought the same thing. Both fleets moved toward each other, weapons charging, shields at maximum. In minutes, the battle would begin. More ships would die. More cities below would burn. Then something impossible happened. A ship appeared between the 2 fleets. It did not come from any gate. It did not emerge from any known form of travel. It simply appeared, as if space itself had opened and released it into reality. The ship was like nothing either fleet had seen before. It was smooth and black, shaped like a blade cutting through darkness. Blue energy pulsed along its hull in patterns that hurt to look at. It was smaller than a battleship, but larger than a cruiser. And it radiated power like a star contained in metal. Every sensor in both fleets screamed warnings. Energy readings went off the scale. The ship's very presence distorted space around it. "What is that?" Kreth demanded. "Identify it immediately." His sensor officer's voice shook. "I cannot, Warlord. The signature does not match anything in our database. The hull composition is unknown. The energy source is unknown. Everything about it is unknown." On the bridge of the strange ship, Commander Dami Park sat in the captain's chair and watched the tactical display. Her crew was silent and focused. They had trained for this moment for years. Now it was time to see if their training was enough. "Open all frequencies," she ordered. "Let both sides hear this." Her communications officer nodded. "Channels open." "Commander." Dami took a breath and spoke. "This is Commander Dami Park of the Earth vessel Horizon's Dawn. Both fleets will cease all hostile actions immediately. This system is under Earth protection. Any further violence will be met with force." For 3 seconds, there was only silence. Then both fleet commanders started shouting at once. The Thalarian commander broadcast, "Earth has no authority here. This is Council space." Warlord Kreth was more direct. "You dare interrupt a battle between warriors? You will be destroyed for this insult." On the Horizon's Dawn, Tactical Officer Yuto Shin watched his displays with cold precision. "Vox flagship is charging weapons," he reported. "Target lock, acquired on our position." Dami did not look worried. "Let them fire." "Commander?" Judah questioned. "Let them fire," Dami repeated. "We need to make a point." Warlord Kreth gave the order. 30 weapons from his flagship fired at once. Plasma cannons, railguns, and missile pods all launched their payloads. Enough firepower to vaporize a small moon converged on the human ship. The crew of the Horizon's Dawn did not even raise their shields. The weapons hit the hull and disappeared. Energy was absorbed, converted, and dispersed into space as harmless radiation. Physical projectiles struck the hull and shattered against a surface harder than anything in the known galaxy. The missiles exploded, and their force was swallowed by the same dark metal that made up the ship's skin. When the smoke cleared, the Horizon's Dawn was undamaged. Not a scratch marked its surface. Impossible, Kreeth whispered. Yuto's fingers moved across his control panel. Returning fire, he said. Targeting their weapon systems only. Precision strikes. Blue beams lanced out from the Horizon's Dawn. They were thin as needles and bright as lightning. Each beam found a weapon battery on Kreeth's flagship and burned through its power core. In 5 seconds, every weapon on the massive warship was disabled. Not destroyed. Just carefully, precisely turned off. Kreeth stared at his tactical display in disbelief. His flagship was defenseless. Dami broadcast again. That was a demonstration. We do not wish to harm you. We wish to stop the killing. Both fleets will power down weapons and withdraw to neutral positions. You will negotiate peace with mediators from Earth. The Thalarian commander found his voice. You cannot enforce this. You are one ship against 75. Yuto spoke quietly to Dami. Shall I show them? Dami nodded. The Horizon's Dawn moved. It did not accelerate slowly like normal ships. It simply went from stationary to full speed in an instant, crossing thousands of kilometers in a heartbeat. It appeared beside the Thalarian flagship, then beside 3 Vox destroyers, then in the middle of a Thalarian formation. It moved faster than their targeting computers could track, faster than physics should allow, and everywhere it went, another weapon system was disabled. Not destroyed. Disabled. The message was clear. We could kill you all. We choose not to. Both fleets stopped moving. Commanders stared at their screens, trying to understand what they were seeing. This technology was decades, maybe centuries beyond anything the Council possessed. Dami broadcast one more time. Earth left the Council 25 years ago. We have spent that time building a better future for ourselves. Now we return. Not to rejoin your system, but to ensure peace. This war ends today. If you refuse, we will disable every ship in both fleets and tow you home in shame. Choose now. Warlord Kreeth was a warrior, but he was not stupid. We will withdraw, he said slowly. But the Council will hear of this. Good, Dami replied. We want the Council to hear. We want everyone to hear. Earth is back. She nodded to Yuto. Deploy the barrier. The Horizon's Dawn released a pulse of energy that expanded between the 2 fleets. Where the energy passed, it left behind a shimmering field of force that separated the Vox and Thalarian ships. The barrier was 10,000 kilometers wide and would last for 72 hours. Enough time for tempers to cool and negotiations to begin. Then, without warning or ceremony, the Horizon's Dawn jumped to faster than light speed and vanished. On Calthon 3, refugees emerged from their shelters and looked up at the sky. The bombardment had stopped. Sensors showed both fleets retreating. They did not understand why, but they did not care. They were alive. In the council chamber, Velkaroth received the emergency report. He read it 3 times, not believing the words. Then he called an emergency session. Impossible, he said to the assembled council. Humans cannot have developed such technology in only 25 years. It must be a trick. But Trade Minister Kolrax stood up, holding his datapad. Not impossible, Council Prime. Improbable, but not impossible. We have been detecting energy signatures from human space for years. We dismissed them. We should not have. One ship means nothing, Velkaroth said, but his voice lacked confidence. Then the message came. It broadcast on every frequency, to every planet. to every ship in Council space. It was a simple transmission, only 10 words long. But those words changed everything. Earth remembers. Earth returns. Prepare for peace. The message repeated for 1 hour, then stopped. But by then, every being in the galaxy had heard it. Captain Hana, sitting in her ship at the Red Nebula station, listened to the message and smiled. She thought about going home, about seeing Earth again, after all these years. Maybe, she thought, it was finally time to stop running. The galaxy held its breath and waited to see what humanity would do next. The emergency council session had been running for 6 hours. Representatives shouted at each other across the chamber. Some demanded action against Earth. Others urged caution. Most were simply afraid. Velkaroth sat on his throne and felt the weight of his centuries pressing down on him. He had led the council for longer than most species had possessed space travel. He had seen empires rise and fall, but he had never seen anything like this. "Order," he shouted, his voice amplified to drown out the chaos. "We will have order." The chamber fell silent, but fear remained thick in the air. "We have all seen the reports from Calthon's system," Velkaroth continued. "One human ship stopped a war between 2 fleets. The technology they displayed exceeds our understanding. But it is still only 1 ship. We must not panic." "Not panic?" A Velian representative stood up, his scales flushed red with anger. "They made our weapons useless. They moved faster than our sensors could track. How can we not panic? They will. They. Before Velkaroth could respond, a hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a woman in a simple uniform, standing in what looked like a command center. Behind her, humans worked at stations covered in displays, showing data and star charts. The woman looked directly at Velkaroth. Her face was calm, but her eyes were hard as diamond. "Council Prime Velkaroth," she said. "I am Director Soha Choi. I lead Earth's government. We need to talk." Velkaroth felt something he had not experienced in decades. True uncertainty. "How did you bypass our security?" "This is a closed session." Soha smiled without warmth. "Your security is based on Council technology. We surpassed that level years ago. We can appear in your chamber whenever we wish. But we prefer to be polite, so we asked first. You ignored 3 formal requests for dialogue. So, we are no longer asking." A murmur ran through the chamber. Some representatives looked at their security officers, who could only shake their heads, helplessly. "State your purpose," Velkaroth demanded, trying to maintain control. "Gladly." Soha gestured, and new holograms appeared around the chamber. They showed documents, recordings, and data files. 25 years ago, Earth left the Council because we were treated as servants, not partners. Before we left, we gathered evidence. Evidence we are now sharing with everyone. Another figure appeared beside Soha. A man in a military intelligence uniform. His name was displayed as Intelligence Officer Taeyang Bei. "What you are seeing," Taeyang said, "are classified Council documents, records showing how elder species have exploited younger ones for centuries, trade agreements that are actually economic slavery, technology restrictions designed to keep species dependent, military deployments that sacrifice younger species while protecting elder ones." The documents scrolled faster. Financial records, communication intercepts, secret protocols. Each one showed the Council's true face. Not a partnership of equals, but a hierarchy designed to benefit the old and powerful at the expense of everyone else. One document made the chamber erupt in outrage. It was a classified protocol, labeled Earth Contingency. The text was simple and damning. Humanity shows signs of rapid technological development and independent thinking. They must be controlled through economic dependence and military deployment to dangerous sectors. Under no circumstances should they be allowed equal status. If they resist control, They must be isolated until they submit or collapse. That document is classified, Velkaroth shouted. You have no right to access it. We have every right, Soha said coldly. You wrote protocols for controlling us. You planned our subjugation. You hoped we would fail when we left. We did not fail. We thrived. Another hologram appeared. This one showed Ambassador Mireille Song, Earth's new representative. Unlike old Ambassador Nari, who had tried so hard to be diplomatic, Mireille looked like a woman who had no patience for politics. Earth spent 25 years building a new future, Mireille said. We developed technology without council restrictions. We built colonies without council oversight. We created a society based on cooperation, not hierarchy. You built weapons, a Thalarian representative accused. Yes, Mireille agreed. We built weapons. Because you taught us that power is the only language the council respects. But we also built schools, hospitals, research stations, and farms. We built a civilization. What have you built in the same time? More rules to control others. More schemes to maintain power. Nothing else. Velkaroth felt control slipping from his grasp. What do you want from us? Soha stepped forward in her hologram. We want a new agreement. Not a council where elder species rule and younger species serve. A federation where every species has equal voice. Fair trade. Shared technology. Mutual defense. No hierarchies. No exploitation. Just cooperation between equals. Impossible, Velkaroth said. The council has existed for thousands of years. You cannot simply tear it down. We are not tearing it down, Soha replied. We are offering you a chance to rebuild it into something better. Accept our terms, and we will share our technology. Reject them, and we will build our own federation with species who want true equality. The choice is yours. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then, a younger species representative stood up. She was from the Kelnar, a people who had joined the council only a century ago and spent that time in the same servitude Earth had escaped. I support Earth's proposal, she said. You have no authority to make such statements, Velkaroth snapped. Then give me authority, the Kelnar replied. That is what Earth is offering. Actual authority. Not the illusion of it. More representatives stood up. Not all of them. But enough. Species who had been used and ignored for too long. Species who saw in humanity's return a chance for something better. But the elder species remained seated. They whispered among themselves, their ancient eyes cold with calculation. Finally, a representative from the Korathian Dominion spoke. They were one of the oldest council members, powerful and proud. You speak of equality, but you demonstrate superiority. One ship stopped 2 fleets. How many more ships do you have? What are you hiding in that closed system? Soha's expression did not change. Enough ships to defend ourselves. Enough to ensure we will never be subjugated again. That is all you need to know. That is not enough, the Korathian said. You ask us to trust you, while you hide your military strength. That is not equality. That is threat. You are right, Soha said, surprising everyone. It is a threat, because we learned from you that kindness without strength is just an invitation for exploitation. We offered friendship once. You rejected it. Now we offer partnership from a position of strength. That is the only offer we will make. Only offer. Only offer. Only offer. Only offer. Velkaroth stood from his throne. His mind raced through possibilities. Scenarios. Outcomes. Earth was dangerous. Earth was unpredictable. But Earth was also right about the Council's corruption. He knew this, had always known it, but had maintained the system because it benefited his species. Now that system was crumbling. He could try to save it, or he could try to save himself. We need time to consider your proposal, he said. You have 1 week. Soha replied. After that, we will assume your answer is no, and we will act accordingly. And if we decide to force compliance? Velkaroth asked, already knowing it was the wrong question. Soha's smile was terrifying. I hope you are not that foolish, Council Prime. But if you are, we will teach you the same lesson we taught the Vox and Thalarians. We can disable your fleets without destroying them. We prefer peace. But we are prepared for war. The holograms vanished. The council chamber fell into silence. Velkaroth looked around at the representatives. He saw fear, anger, and calculation. The elder species were already planning. He could see it in their faces. They would not accept Earth's terms. They would rather fight than give up power. Assemble the Grand Armada, Velkaroth ordered. Send word to every fleet, every battle group, every military station. We will remind humanity why the Council has stood for thousands of years. Trade Minister Kolrax stood up in protest. Council Prime, this is madness. We should negotiate, not fight. You forget your place, Minister, Velkaroth said coldly. Military matters are not your concern. Return to your numbers and trade routes. But as Kolrax sat down, he caught the eye of the Kelnar representative. She nodded slightly. Plans within plans. Not everyone would follow Velkaroth into this war. The order went out across Council space. 5,000 ships. The largest military force ever assembled. They would travel to Sol System and force Earth to submit. Deep in her command center, Director Soha received the intelligence report. She read it and felt no surprise. Just sadness that it had come to this. She pressed a button on her control panel. Admiral Jiho, initiate Protocol Pyre. It is time to show them what we have built. In the darkness beyond Earth's orbit, lights began to ignite. One by one, like stars being born, 1,000 ships powered up their engines. Ships that burned with contained fury. Ships that had been built for this exact moment. The Pyre fleet was awakening, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Grand Armada arrived at the edge of Sol System in perfect formation. 5,000 ships from across Council space, representing the military might of hundreds of species. They had traveled for 3 days, confident in their numbers and their purpose. They would force Earth to submit. Warlord Kreeth commanded a battle group of Vox ships. He remembered the humiliation at Calthon System and wanted revenge. The Thalarians were here too, along with the Korathians, the Velians, and dozens of other species, elder and younger alike, united for once, under Council authority. At the center of the Armada, Council Prime Velkaroth stood on the bridge of his flagship. He was old, but his eyes burned with determination. Earth had challenged the natural order. They would learn the cost of such arrogance. Begin scanning the system, he ordered. Locate their defensive positions. The sensor officer worked his controls, then froze. Council Prime, I am detecting massive energy signatures. Directly ahead. They are not hiding. On screen, the display activated, and every being on the bridge stopped breathing. Between the Council Armada and Earth's sun, a wall of ships waited. But these were not like the horizon's dawn. These were larger, more terrible, more beautiful. Each one was shaped like a blade of dark metal, but their hulls glowed with internal fire. Blue and white energy pulsed through channels in their armor, making them look like burning stars wrapped in night. There were 1,000 of them, arranged in perfect geometric formation, and each one radiated power that made the Council's most advanced ships look like children's toys. What are those? Someone whispered. The answer came in a transmission from the lead ship. Fleet Admiral Jiho Kang, now in his 80s but still commanding, appeared on every screen in the Council Armada. I am Admiral Jiho Kang of Earth Defense Fleet. You are looking at the Pyre-class dreadnoughts, Each one is powered by a fusion reactor that burns as bright as a star. Each one carries weapons that could destroy a moon. Each one is crewed by humans who will not allow their home to be threatened. This is your only warning. Turn back. Velkaroth felt rage building in his chest. You are outnumbered 5-1. Your technology may be advanced, but numbers matter. Surrender now, and we will show mercy. Admiral Jiho's laugh was cold. We left the council because you treated us as inferior. We returned because we wanted peace. You responded with war. There will be no surrender. Only a lesson you will never forget. Then you will be destroyed, Velkaroth said. He raised his hand to give the attack order. Before he could speak, another ship appeared beside his flagship. Not a Pyre-class dreadnought. Something smaller. Faster. The Horizon's Dawn. With Commander Dami at its helm. Council Prime, she broadcast. I was there at Calthon. I gave the Vox and Thalarians a chance to avoid violence. I am giving you the same chance. You saw what one ship could do. You are now facing 1,000 ships that are each 100 times more powerful. Please. Choose wisdom over pride. Behind the Council Armada, another transmission began broadcasting. This one came from a civilian ship. A small trader vessel. Captain Hana Lee stood on its bridge, and her message went out on public frequencies that anyone could hear. This is Hana Lee, born on Earth, forced to live in exile for 25 years. I have spent decades in council space. Seeing how you treat those weaker than you, I have seen corruption, cruelty, and exploitation. Earth is offering you a chance to be better. Take it. Please. Crueled. Her voice carried emotion that the military transmissions lacked. She was not a soldier or diplomat. She was just a woman, asking for peace. For a moment, Velkaroth hesitated. Then he remembered his power, his authority, the 1,000 years of council dominance. Earth was young and arrogant. They needed to be taught their place. All ships, attack. The council armada surged forward, 5,000 ships moving as one massive wave. Weapons charged. Missiles launched. The darkness of space filled with fire. The Pyre fleet did not move. They simply activated their shields. The Council's weapons hit those shields and dissolved into nothing. Energy weapons were absorbed and dispersed. Missiles exploded harmlessly against barriers that bent physics itself. Railgun rounds struck the shields and bounced away like rain on stone. Not a single Pyre-class ship took damage. Admiral Jiho's voice came again, sad and tired. You had your chance. Now you will learn. The Pyre fleet moved. They did not charge. They did not need to. Each ship targeted specific vessels in the Council Armada with surgical precision. Blue beams lanced out. Not to destroy, but to disable. Engine cores were burned out. Weapon systems were melted. Shield generators were overloaded. Each shot was perfect. Calculated. Merciful. The council ships tried to fight back. They fired everything they had. But the Pyre fleet moved through their attacks like ghosts. Untouchable and unstoppable. And everywhere they went, council ships went dark, drifting in space without power or weapons. It was not a battle. It was a demonstration. Warlord Kreth watched his entire battle group disabled in minutes. His flagship was dead in space. Emergency power barely keeping life support active. He had never felt so helpless. Around the Armada, the same scene repeated 1,000 times. Council ships tried to flee, but the Pyre fleet was faster. They tried to surrender, but the Pyre fleet had not finished their lesson. Every single ship in the Council Armada was systematically disabled. Not destroyed. Disabled. The message was clear. We could kill you all. We chose not to. When the last council ship went dark, Admiral Jiho broadcast one final message. We are Earth. We do not seek to conquer. We do not want to rule. But we will never again accept being ruled. Your armada is disabled but intact. In 6 hours, we will restore basic power to your ships so you can return home. Use that time to think about what happened here. You came with 5,000 ships to force us into submission. We could have destroyed you all. We did not. Remember that. On Velkaroth's flagship, emergency lights cast shadows across the bridge. The Council Prime sat in his command chair, staring at the dark screens. He had lived for centuries, accumulated power beyond measure. And in 1 hour, it had all become meaningless. A small shuttle approached his flagship. It docked, and a delegation boarded. Ambassador Mireille Song led them, along with intelligence officer Taeyang Bei, and several human soldiers. They found Velkaroth still sitting in his chair. He looked up as they entered. "Have you come to gloat?" he asked bitterly. "No," Mireille said. "We have come to talk. What we wanted to do from the beginning." She pulled up a portable hologram display. "This is the treaty we propose. Read it. Actually read it, not as a ruler looking to maintain power, but as a being who wants a better galaxy." Velkaroth took the datapad and read. The terms were simple. Dissolve the council. Form a new federation with equal representation for all species. Share technology freely. End exploitation. Establish fair trade. Create joint peacekeeping forces to protect all members equally. You could force these terms, Velkaroth said. Why offer them? Because force creates resentment, Mireille replied. We want partners, not subjects. We will help rebuild the Grand Armada. We will share our technology. We will work together, but only if you agree to treat others as equals. That is the only condition. Taeyang stepped forward. We also have evidence against species and individuals who committed crimes within the council system. Slavery, exploitation, murder. That evidence will be presented to the new Federation for trial. Justice will be served, but it will be fair justice, not revenge. Velkaroth looked at the humans and saw something he had not expected. Not triumph or cruelty. Just tired determination and genuine desire for peace. If I refuse, then Earth will form its own federation with the species who want equality, Mireille said. The Council will collapse anyway. You have already lost. The only question is whether you lose with dignity or with shame. Outside, Director Soha broadcast to the entire galaxy. Her message was simple and reached every inhabited world. This is Director Soha Choi of Earth. Today, we defended ourselves against aggression. We could have responded with destruction. We chose mercy instead. To all species in Council space, we extend an invitation. Join us in building something better. A federation of equals, where young and old work together, where power serves the people instead of ruling them. We are not perfect. We will make mistakes. But we will try to do better than what came before. That is all we ask of you. Try to be better. 6 months passed. The Council officially dissolved. A new Galactic Federation formed with Earth as one of many equal founding members. Velkaroth stepped down from leadership, and a rotating council of representatives from all species took his place. The Pyre fleet became a joint peacekeeping force. Ships from every species served alongside humans, protecting trade routes and stopping conflicts before they became wars. Captain Hana returned to Earth for the first time in 26 years. She stood in a park in New Geneva, breathing air that smelled like home, and cried. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Jiho watched construction crews from a dozen species working together to build a new space station. Human technology helped them work faster. Alien knowledge helped them work smarter. Together, they created something neither could have built alone. Ambassador Nari, now retired and living on a colony world, received a message from the new Federation. They wanted her to write a history of what happened, so future generations would remember. She accepted. Someone needed to tell the story of how humanity left broken and returned whole. In a school on Earth, a teacher asked her students a question. Why did we come back? A young boy raised his hand. Because someone had to show them. Show them what? That being strong means protecting others, not hurting them. That being smart means helping others, not tricking them. That being powerful means lifting others up, not pushing them down. The teacher smiled. That is right. We came back not to conquer, but to help. That is what being human means. Outside the school, the Pyre fleet maintained its eternal watch. 1,000 burning ships, standing guard over a galaxy that was finally learning to be better. Earth had left the Council as servants. They returned as equals. And in doing so, they saved not just themselves, but everyone. The stars burned bright. And for the first time in 1,000 years, they burned with hope.